Okay. No, so this is the job. This is the job. You can say hi, Katarina. So I need you, April, to hold my phone just like this. Don't touch the screen. Only touch the edge. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you do that and hold it while I talk? So
I want to talk. I want to talk.
No, you don't talk. You just hold it.
I just hold it.
Yeah, hold it. And don't touch the screen. Just hold it while I read.
Okay, so I just think about a graph the rest of the story. So they look what's on my face.
Yeah, your face is beautiful.
Yeah, look at my eye.
Okay. So I'm gonna read, April. Hold my phone just like that.
Okay.
Nothing. So this is chapter 16. Ooh, 16. I love 16 because it's 2 to the 4th or 4 to the 2nd. Which is, okay, Katarina, you can try to hold it one more time.
Okay.
It's the problems of trying to teach my children how to hold a camera. So honestly, they're probably going to, since I'm starting them so young, by the time they're 7, they're probably going to end up recording like the most successful blockbuster movie of all time. Because like Mario Puzo, the author of The Godfather, also wrote the script for the Godfather movies, and he didn't know a thing about writing movies, and just wrote the script. And then he decided, I think later on, he should learn something about writing movies. And he opened a book on how to write movies, and it just said, start by studying The Godfather 1 and 2, which to me just goes to show you that the people who think there's nothing outside the text don't really have much inside their heads either. So there's less. You gotta confront reality before you try to speculate on reality. I think that's the problem, is that everyone's trying to learn about people's speculations on reality, and neither the speculators nor the people trying to learn, have ever encountered reality. Oh my God. So here we are talking more about that with the banks. So imagine that a business properly conducted, if it keeps within the law, or the law can be altered or interpreted to suit the purposes at hand. They live on rules. The bankers took finance. You're waving at my face. Okay, April. You have one more chance to hold my phone. You got to hold it without touching the screen. Last time you touched the screen and it goes off. So you can't touch the screen. You can only touch here, because it just goes off. So chapter 16 of My Life and My Work by Henry Ford. I'm just going to read this because I was reading this to my kids. It's like a story. And, I just had it near me and they wanted me to read it to them. So here I am. And it just seems so relevant to the AI bubble that's going on right now. Nothing in this country furnishes a better example of how a business may be turned from its function of service than do the railroads. We have a railroad problem, and much learned thought and discussion have been devoted to the solution of that problem. Everyone is dissatisfied with the railways. The public is dissatisfied because both the passengers and the freight rates are too high. The railroad employees are dissatisfied because you can film, April. You're filming. You can film however you want, but you just have to keep it filming. It's a useful skill. Railroad employees dissatisfied because they say their wages are too low and their hours too long. The owners of the railways are dissatisfied because it is claimed that no adequate return is realized upon the money invested. All the contacts of a properly managed undertaking ought to be satisfactory. If the public, the employees, and the owners do not find themselves better off because of the undertaking, Katarina, sit down. Sit, Katam.
Sit. Good girl.
If the employees, the public, and the owners do not find themselves better off because of the undertaking, then there must be something very wrong indeed with the manner in which the undertaking is being carried through. I am entirely without any disposition to pose as a railroad authority. This is very much in Henry Ford's way of thinking. He doesn't believe in authorities. He just believes that there's good work being done and more of it could be done in the future. April, don't lick your hands on camera. There may be railroad, and this is why he says this. It's so funny. I love this. Classic Ford. There may be railroad authorities, but if the service rendered by the American railroad today is the result of accumulated railroad knowledge, then I cannot say that my respect for the usefulness of that knowledge is all that profound. I have not the slightest doubt in the world that the active managers of the railways, the men who really do the work, are entirely capable of conducting the railways of the country to the satisfaction of everyone. I have equally no doubt that these active managers have, by force of a chain of circumstances, all but ceased to manage. That there is the source of that, and right there is the source of the most trouble. The men who know railroading have not been allowed to manage railroads. In a previous chapter on finance were set forth the dangers attendant upon the indiscriminate borrowing of money. It is inevitable that anyone who can freely borrow to cover errors of management will borrow. Katerina, sit down. Then correct the errors. Our railway managers have been practically forced to borrow, for since the very inception of the railways, they have not been free agents.
Oh,
I'm reading. The guiding hand of the railway has been not the railroad man, but the banker. When railroad credit was high, more money was to be made out of floating bond issues and speculating in the securities that have service to the public. That sounds just like the AI bubble. And it's literally, these bubbles are just the result of literally that sentence. We're going to read this over again. In the previous chapter on finance were set forth the dangers attendant on the indiscriminate borrowing of money. It is inevitable that anyone who can borrow freely to cover errors of management will borrow rather than correct the errors. Our railway managers have been practically forced to borrow, for since the very inception of the railways, they have not been free agents. The guiding hand of the railway has been not the railroad man, but the banker. When railroad credit was high, more money was to be made out of floating bond issues and speculating in the securities than out of service to the public. A very small fraction of the money earned by the railways had gone back into the rehabilitation of the properties. Yes, April Grace.
can you hold the phone for me?
No. One of you has to hold the phone. Now, Katerina, hold the phone. Do not touch the screen. Let's see if you do a good job, Katerina.
I did a good job.
You did a relatively good job. I mean, there's really not. Don't touch the screen. Don't touch it. There's really the only way to do a bad job is to touch the screen or to not film. I'm just trying to record me talking about this and get a snapshot of a real American life, you know? Because I love America. When by skilled... Okay, so then I'll just read the last sentence. When railroad credit was high, more money was to be made out of floating bond issues and speculating in securities than out of service to the public. A very small fraction of the money earned by the railways has gone back into the rehabilitation of the properties. When by skilled management the net revenue became large enough to pay a considerable dividend upon the stock, then that dividend was first used by the speculators on the inside, controlling the railroad fiscal policy, to boom the stock and unload their holdings, then to float a bond issue on the strength of credit gained through the earnings. This is in some ways why I don't want to get into owning data centers, because I have to just start with a business that I really understand, like health, fitness, and high performance. When the earnings dropped or were artificially depressed, then the speculators brought back the stock and in the course of time staged another advance in unloading. There is scarcely a railroad in the United States that has not been through one or more of these receiverships, due to the fact that the financial interests piled on load after load of securities until the structures grew top-heavy and fell over. Then they got in on receiverships, made money at the expense of gullible security holders, and started the same old pyramiding game all over again. Funny enough, I think that this style of ripping people off has basically been going on since ancient Egypt.
All over again?
Wait. And that the pyramid represents the essence of nepotistic power structures predicated on the idea that there's nothing outside the text. That the idea that there's nothing outside the text only leads to pyramid schemes since Egypt, which was a giant pyramid scheme, funny enough.
Yeah.
But that's another video for another day. Nope, still wet.
Why? Why it's so wet?
Because it is April. The natural ally of the banker is the lawyer. Such games have been played on the railroads have needed expert legal advice. Lawyers, like bankers, know absolutely nothing about business. They imagine that a business is properly conducted if it keeps it. Okay, I'm filming now because my children kind of stink at it. April, do you want to try again?
Yeah.
Okay, hold it, don't touch, keep it going. Katarina, you did a bad job. It's pretty easy. It's okay though, Katarina. You're learning. It's just that you did better the first time than the second time. So I just want you to know that the first attempt was superior to the second attempt. Oh, now she's hugging my arm. It's so cute.
I didn't have to scream.
I love you, Katarina. Okay, so good job not touching the screen. The bankers took finance out of the hands of managers. They put in lawyers to see that the railroads violated the law only in the legal fashion. And thus grew immense legal departments. Instead of operating under the rules of common sense and according to circumstances, every railroad had to operate on the advice of counsel. Rules spread throughout every part of the organization. Then came the avalanche of state and federal regulations. Until today, we find railways hogtied.
Can you hold this for me?
No, you gotta keep holding it. That's the challenge of it. Rules and regulations with the lawyers and the financiers on the insides and various state commissions on the outside. The railway manager has little chance. That is the trouble with the railways. Business cannot be conducted by law. They can't. We have had the opportunity of demonstrating to ourselves what freedom from the banker legal mortmain means. In our experience with the Detroit, Toledo, and Iron Tunnel. Hold it. Unless, do you not want to hold it?
No.
Okay, so I'll hold it.
Maybe I'll learn tomorrow.
You're doing a good job learning. Okay. Oh, little kitty. You can show people this video when you're older and be like, how nuts was your dad? Be like, well, I'm not going to say I'm nuts, but people will ask you,
Daddy,
how dedicated was your father to your business education?
Daddy.
Said in this. Yes, April?
You had to learn nicely to me.
I am nice to you.
So, if you yell at me again, so I'm just not gonna marry you. I just want to be a princess a lot of times. So that's me. So that's Mama want to be a queen. So I just want to be a queen.
I think that's a good place to end the video. You know, at some point I start incoherently babbling. I run out of stamina. Haven't made it to that point yet, but I imagine it exists.
I can't see.
So,